If I can pass on any advice to you, it would be to consider living your life as a series of things to do, and don't really get hung up on the thing that you need to be. We're sort of encouraged to think that we're thinking outside of the box if we're being like technologically innovative, or we're like advancing economics or disproving scientific theories. And universities market themselves to us every day with this agenda of like, think outside the box and come to ECU. But I would really encourage you to think outside of that box again. Like, this is part of a sequence of events that we're fed from birth. It's like, you go to school to get good grades, and then you're like being awarded for your academic intelligence, and you're pushing yourself to get good grades again in high school so that you can get into good subjects. And then you want good grades in those good subjects so that you can get into university and get a good degree so you can do well in that degree and, get a good job. And what is a good job anyway? Like, what does that really look like? And I think traditionally a good job is probably one where you have loads of responsibility and you actually have to invest loads of your lifetime into doing it, to the point where you actually don't really have any time for the things that you really love and you really care about, and you get rewarded for doing this with like loads of money, and that sort of winds up as being like loads of debt. And this is just a cultural story, and it's gotten way out of hand, and you really don't need to follow this path. And in fact, I would really encourage you not to follow this path at all. And I think it starts with money, and money shouldn't be the driving force behind your life. I mean, living should be. And we've all heard this before, but really, like, what are you living for? And most people would say that they're living for happiness, but we're sort of fed this illusion that happiness is like materialistic things, and they're so temporarily gratifying, and they're designed this way. It's a system so that you kind of buy more and more of them, and in return you like grow the bank accounts of these companies producing them. And money really doesn't need to exist, but we place so much importance on it that we kind of come to think of money as a system for valuing ourselves too. And I'm stealing Mark Boyle's words here, and if you don't know Mark Boyle, check him out because he's a really cool guy. He's Irish, so he's a little bit hard to understand, but anyway, look him up because he's great. And I'm stealing his words, but he says that this really unhealthy relationship we have with money, it leads to a really totally deluded sense of self. And I have a good example of this when I was recently employed in a job with my mate Weber, and we were employed in different roles. He was a groundsman and I was a coordinator. He was paid $23 an hour and I was paid about $19 an hour. And it just bugged me so much. Like, I was just so hung up on this problem of not being paid as much as him, and what I was really saying to myself was that I was worth more than Weber, and like being paid more would prove it. And obviously the company we were working for didn't feel the same way, and like this was like wrong. This was so wrong. It was wrong for my friendship with Weber, and it was also really wrong for my relationship with myself. And I didn't stay in that job too long, and I'm really glad I didn't, because it's given me time to realise how much harm I was doing to myself, and I was given the opportunity to reevaluate how I was going to live my life and build a life that was for the benefit of all living beings, like not just for the benefit of my ego. But I'm sort of getting off track here, but the point I'm trying to bring home is that money is just a figure, and it doesn't even relate to anything of value anymore, like unless we put a value on it, like back in the day, like paper money was the representation of all the gold you had in the bank, but we don't really have gold in the bank anymore. Like these days money doesn't correlate to actual gold at all. It doesn't relate to anything. So like I'm telling you, like we don't need money, we need community. And the schooling system you're currently part of encourages you to learn independently of your peers. You want to be better than them, right? So you don't want to share your knowledge with them at the risk of them being better than you. And that's really not cool beans. I mean, you it's just so messed up, it hurts my head. Like, you need to be open, and you need to share your knowledge, and you never know what you don't know. So sharing is this opportunity to learn something new, and it adds a different perspective to your knowledge, and it gives you the opportunity to learn about, like, valuing all the peers in your group. Like, everyone gets a chance to contribute, and it gives you the opportunity to learn, like, just about making everyone feel valued, and knowing that everybody is a valuable contributor to this community. Like, everyone brings something to it, and if we could all go to school in a community learning type environment, then we can come out of school with this sense of community and, like, move away from these unhealthy ties we have with money and create beautiful new ties with each other. I think, well, he must be one of the smartest guys on earth, Albert Einstein. Like, he once said that if you judge a fish based on his ability to climb a tree, then the fish will always believe that he's stupid. And, like, of course he will. Like, a fish would die before he even got to a tree. And, if you judge a dog based on his ability to clean a whale, you pretty much see what old Albert is saying, is that, your schooling system is pitting you against all of your friends and judging your value based on the same set of criteria. So even though each one of you is so wonderfully different and talented in your own crazy way, like, you're all kind of set up to fill this criteria, and you're judged by it, and it's not accepting of anyone being a little bit different, or having different qualities that are just as valuable. And in Australia, I know everyone is given a percentage, so, like, you do your exams, and then you get, like, a ranking from, like, best, worst, worse than worst, and it goes something like that anyway. And I was in year 12 in 2007, and I walked out after the first round of exams because I could see that something was wrong. Like, this system is just so messed up. I saw nice people turn into total madmen because they were so fixed on getting a good result, and I saw my happy friends turn into, like, withdrawn sad sacks because they just weren't good enough. Like, this number was telling them that they weren't good enough, and before exams they were absolutely perfect, and I couldn't handle being a part of it, so I left, and I didn't graduate. But since then I've never been rejected in a job I've interviewed for, and it's not like I've just been working at McDonald's. Like, I've worked for local government, I've been employed in the marketing field, I've been a veterinary nurse, I've had my own business, I've been a 2IC, I've kind of done it all, and I only when I finished my exams in January this year, which was like 5 or 6, almost 6 years after all my friends graduated. So yeah, I went off and did my exams, and I actually came out with a ranking that was, like, better than 99.5% of candidates, and pretty damn high, and kind of makes me out to be a freaking genius. But I still don't have a big flash job and a big bank account, and it doesn't exist, and it never will exist for me because I won't allow it to. And I don't want to subscribe to the most boring and unsatisfying cultural story of all time. Like, I want to make my own story, and it'll be one that involves sharing ideas and sharing knowledge and sharing resources and sharing love. And I want a story that's free from stress and free from money and free from control, and it's a story with a happy ending. My story starts by sharing knowledge, like just how I am with you now, and I'm giving it to you, and I don't want anything in return. My story it's evolved to me sharing my time with my friends, and time that helps them grow an abundance of food in their yard, and this food nourishes them and me and gives us all this massive, like, feel-good kick. And the characters in my story don't give value to money, but instead they give value to time, because time is something we can't get back. Time isn't infinite, and neither are the things that you're buying from the shop, like the food and the water that's dripping out of your tap, or the water that you're just flushing away down the toilet. Like, this stuff isn't infinite, and I'd encourage you to think of your life as an expenditure of time, and just spend that stuff wisely. So I sort of went a little off track, but I started out by saying that we shouldn't think about like who or what we're going to be as such, but rather what we can do during our lifetime. And now that I'm a genius, I could go to uni and become a psychologist, and that sounds kind of cool, but instead, like, I'm more about doing. So no, I won't be Courtney, the psychologist, working in an office and writing the daily grind, but I'm Courtney, the girl who's studying psychology, and with the prospects to open up an outdoor clinic servicing both humans and animals, and like using nature and psychology to help people work through their mental traumas, and asking only for like donations or this exchange of resources in return for the service, because like how can I be a hypocrite and put like a superficial dollar value on someone, like put this dollar value on saving someone's life or improving someone's life. So it just doesn't sit right with me, and so I endeavour to donate my life hours to making change on this earth, making it like a fun, safe, sustainable and abundant place to live in and to learn on. And even if I don't achieve this in my lifetime, like I don't have any regrets, because the tracks that me and so many other people are making towards this total nirvana for all of you guys is going to be, felt and followed on by the generations to come. And I guess for you guys right now, like you sort of have this part of the brain that isn't working right now, and it's not meant to be offensive, it's just a fact of life. It's the last part of your brain to mature, and it's called the prefrontal cortex, and it's kind of about here. It doesn't really actually matter where it is, but the point is this thing helps you with like forward thinking and thinking about like the long-term consequences of the actions you make today, and that's why it's so easy for you to get caught up into this cultural story routine that's being fed to you, and find you might find that you wake up in 5 years with a degree, and you might just be thinking like, WTF, like what the hell just happened here, and why did I do that, and what have I done with my life? And I'm trying to give you a head start in your way of thinking about things, because I know I only felt my brain kick in when I was about 21, and the same thing happened. I was like, what the hell was I thinking? And it's going to be okay. Like, I just want you to know that you're all special, and you're all individuals, and you're all unique, and you all need to stand up for that right and that freedom by valuing each other instead of valuing money, and nurturing the earth and your environment instead of your bank account. Like, learn how to be self-sufficient rather than, like, this is another Mark Boyle thing, but we sort of have this kind of illusion that we have $5,000 in the bank, or we own our own home, or we're building our own home, or we own our car, and we think like, yeah, I'm independent, but you're probably the most dependent of anyone, because at the very least you're dependent on the checkout chick at Woolies being there so that you can get your bread and milk in the morning. Like, you're actually not independent at all. And I would love if you could have that real freedom and learn where your food and clothing is coming from, and the ethical things behind it, and like, don't get too extreme, but just be aware. Learn how to grow things yourself with your mates, and share it all together, and like, even just start small. Like, if it's just growing a watermelon now, like, that thing is going to taste like the mother of all watermelons when you eat it in the summertime with all your friends, just knowing how much like love and time and effort you've put into growing the damn thing. Like, just learn, guys. Like, learn all you can about the world beyond your like 4 walls of your classroom, and challenge the cultural stories that seem like a little outdated, because they are. Like, you all know that things can be done better, and we can do things better, so let's do it. And if you want to know more about this sort of stuff, or you have any questions, or you want somewhere to start looking, like, just message me or comment or whatever, and I can hook you up, and we can start making steps to having happy life, happy world for everyone. So, lecture's over, so peace out, and yeah.